Democrats are investigating the arrests of U.S. citizens after a ProPublica investigation showed that ICE has detained more than 170 citizens in recent raids. And the New York Times, citing video of federal agents tackling people and even telling a group of Latinos, including a U.S. citizen, they have no rights. This morning, the Times editorial board published an op-ed titled, "Being Latino in the United States Should Not Be a Crime," writing that the Trump administration's immigration crackdown has become a campaign of discrimination against Latinos with tactics that violate both law and human decency.
Pepper spraying people.
I'm Jacqueline Aragon with KOB4, coming to you from Durango, Colorado, where just this morning an ICE protest got out of hand. This all comes after 3 people were arrested by ICE on Monday, 2 of them being children. Since then, hundreds of protesters have come out and stayed out in front of the Durango ICE office to show their support for those community members in custody. Now, here's where things got out of hand. People that were here tell me that as ICE began to transport those individuals outside of the facility, ICE also hit people with pepper spray and rubber bullets. You can catch the full story on KOB.com.
Glory to our power, Yahweh. Bahasham Yahweh Shah, Bahasham Racha Kodash. Double honor to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David, scattered throughout the 4 corners of the earth, and wherever you may be. Wherever you may be, to you I say Shalom, Shalom. Alright, going into this little article here. Says Trump administration shakes up ICE leadership across the country in major overhaul. Okay, sources say, AP sources say. And so what the talk is that ICE is not aggressive enough. They're not getting the job done. And so they're going to bring in Border Patrol. All right. So we're going to read this article here. And obviously you can find this anywhere. I just chose the AP. The Trump administration is reassigning at least half the top leadership at Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE offices around the country in a major shakeup of the agency responsible for carrying out the president's vision of mass deportations, according to one current and one former U.S. government official. The current official, who was not authorized to speak publicly on the matter and spoke on condition of anonymity, said 12 ICE field office directors, the office who run the network of field offices around the country responsible for immigration enforcement, were being reassigned. Half are to be replaced by existing or retired customs or border protection staff, while the other half would be replaced by ICE officers. Both the current and former officials said the changes were initiated by the Homeland Security Department. The current official said, without specifying which cities were impacted. The former official, who has direct knowledge of the changes and spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss information that was not intended for public release, said on top of the 12 reassignments, leaders in another 4 cities were being swapped out through retirements or other circumstances. He said the cities include major immigration enforcement targets such as Chicago, Los Angeles, and Washington. All right. We have some other related stories. Immigration enforcement tactics escalate in Chicago, Illinois. Chicago sued to block Trump administration national plan. Border Patrol agent led LA immigration operation in Chicago. All right, so he added that ICE leadership has been discussing the changes with other Trump administration officials for some time as part of a broad review of the agency. The reason for the personnel changes wasn't immediately clear, but they indicate a greater integration of Border Patrol agents in ICE at a time when Customs and Border Protection has been accused of using heavy-handed tactics in its immigration enforcement. All right. It says they indicate a greater integration of Border Patrol agents in ICE at a time when Customs and Border Protection has been accused of using heavy-handed tactics in its immigration enforcement. So at the time where they're being more aggressive is where this basically by what this article says, where they're going to bring these guys in, right? So a major shakeup in Trump's immigration enforcement leadership. With a total of 25 field offices around the country, the reassignments amount to turnover of about half or more of the top staffers carrying out the president's hardline immigration enforcement plans, which has seen a major deployment of law enforcement in major American cities, thousands of arrests, and surging fear among residents, especially in immigrant communities. Homeland Security and the White House did not comment on the reassignments, and each instead highlighted that all elements of immigration enforcement were working as one team, putting Customs and Border Protection officers in top positions within immigration and customs enforcement. We create an expanded role for an agency that is already at the forefront of many of the aggressive tactics seen in both Los Angeles and now Chicago, right? Which we're going to look up something in a second. CBP officers, all right, specifically Border Patrol agents, right, have carried out some of the most controversial operations as part of an immigration crackdowns in both of those cities, including a recent raid in Chicago where officers rappelled down onto a building, right, where you see, the guys come down with the ropes, okay, from on the side and bust through the windows and stuff like that, okay. Probably seen it in movies, I don't know, video games like Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, right? That was used a lot. So so in case someone doesn't know what that means when it says rappel down. So, including a recent raid in Chicago where officers rappelled down onto a building in an apartment complex from a helicopter, right? Border Patrol agents have also popped out of a moving truck. That's crazy. And chased after people and conducted patrols through downtown Chicago. Border Patrol agents protect the land and water between the official border crossings to prevent human trafficking, drug smuggling, or other types of contraband from entering the U.S. ICE, since its creation in 2003, is the main agency responsible for immigration enforcement inside the country. It's funny how they say to prevent human trafficking and so on and so forth. But you have people talking about, they're specializing in, rounding up and disappearing people. Right? I'm pretty sure you've heard that quite a few times from several people. But during the Trump administration, hold up, the screen is jumping. During the Trump administration, Border Patrol agents have been taking part in immigration enforcement operations around the country, far from their more traditional duties. Gregory Bovino, the Border Patrol Sector Chief from California, who has been heading the Border Patrol's operations in both cities, is himself accused of throwing tear gas canisters at protesters and took the stand Tuesday as a defendant in a federal lawsuit about whether federal officials are using excessive force in Chicago. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says, hey, but now I'm not advocating for either side. They say we got switches and don't come here, bro, and bruh, and all that kind of stuff. And now they're there, and where's all the talk? Okay, immigration will actually forget the talk. Where's all the action? All right, immigration and customs, because Esau want the action. Esau, a lot of these guys, especially like troops and stuff like that. But we're just saying in general, a lot of these Edomites, man, they wait for a day to get their hands on some jakes, man. All right, and ICE recruitment is their perfect, chance to do so and get paid for it. Immigrations, it'll remind them of the slavery days, right? Anyways, Immigration and Customs Enforcement says its agents carry out target enforcement operations, which often involve hours of time staking out people they're trying to remove from the country. Right, hours of staking out people they're trying to remove from the country. It's the latest in a series of personnel changes. This is the third shakeup at ICE since Trump took office, reflecting the importance of the agency's role in executing the president's vision. All right, and basically this is the Lord moving, the cruel Lord, to get even more heavier with Jake. All right, with ICE and with bringing in Border Patrol and stuff like that. In February, Homeland Security reassigned Caleb Vitello, the acting director of ICE, to another position, Ty Lyons, a veteran ICE agent, was later announced as the new acting head of the agency, a position he still holds. Then in May, ICE announced the reassignment of the two top officials heading the agency's main branches. A spokesperson for Homeland Security, Tricia McLaughlin, did not comment Tuesday on the personnel changes, but said in a statement that the department remained laser focused on results. All right, and we will deliver. All right, that's their words. Okay, it says Tuesday on the personnel changes, but said in a statement. She didn't comment on the personnel changes, but in a statement said the department remained laser focused on results and we will deliver. Right, and so they're going to deliver with a heavier hand. This is one team, one fight, she said. President Donald Trump has a brilliant, tenacious team led by Secretary Kristi Noem to deliver on the American people's mandate to remove criminal, illegal aliens from this country. And that has been their key thing to say that, which not everybody is illegal. But, they're going after these, I don't know, these people with criminal backgrounds and stuff like that. But in their doing so, they also went for people who were just trying to be regular citizens. Now, whether they were legal or illegal, so-called, doesn't really matter. All right, they're not criminals. Okay, but that's all part of what the Lord's got going on. I was just making a point. So, White House spokesperson Abigail Jackson said in an email statement, the president's entire team is working in lockstep to implement the president's policy agenda and the tremendous results from securing the border to deporting criminal illegal aliens. From securing the border to deporting criminal illegal aliens speak for themselves. All right, so I believe that's the end. What is that? Rebecca Santana. Okay, yeah. That would cover the other diesel things that might be looked into. Flights is diverted to Boston after passenger pokes two teens with a fork. That's just madness. Police raided favelas. Dozens deleted. Clashes with drug gangs. Okay. Just, a few other little articles down there I saw. But that's not the point. So back to this, says Trump administration shakes up ICE leadership across the country in major overhaul. So they're trying to bring in the border customs enforcement agents to take part in ICE business. All right. So just give me a brief pause right here. Okay, and we'll pull some. All right, so we have here a list of cities where ICE is currently active and where they are headed to next. So the cities where Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE is currently active and where they will head next are not publicly released in a schedule. And I bet ICE does not disclose tactical enforcement details to avoid compromising ongoing operations. However, some of their recent activities and stated priorities indicate their areas of focus. States with high levels of recent ICE arrests. Bear with me. All right, so back into it. So it says states with high levels of recent ICE arrests. Based on ICE arrest data compiled by independent groups, recent months show high levels of enforcement activity in the following states: Texas, Florida, California, Georgia, and Arizona. Recent enforcement activities in areas. All right, recent ICE news releases and reporting identify specific cities and states where enforcement actions have taken place. Austin, Texas, October 2025, ICE announced the arrest of two individuals accused of murder. Twin Cities, Operation Twin Shield, Core Chicago, Midway Blitz. It says resulting in nearly 3,000 arrests as of late October. Okay. Kentucky. It says an MS-13 gang member with criminal history was arrested in Paducah through a partnership with local law enforcement. Northern Virginia. All right. History of the okay, Arlington. Okay, so enforcement focus areas for future operations. While ICE does not publicize future plans, that's what they set up above. Their public statements and history suggest where their future efforts will be directed. All right. I mean, pretty much Trump is already, well, you get the point. Criminal aliens. ICE prioritizes the arrest and removal of undocumented immigrants who have been convicted of crimes. Recalcitrant countries. Focus on deporting individuals to countries deemed recalcitrant or uncooperative in accepting back their citizens. Sanctuary jurisdictions, broader enforcement, border security. All right. Let's see what else here. And I typed in something else down here. Let me go down there to it. So it says, where will Border Patrol be sent to assist ICE agents? According to new reports from late October 2025, Border Patrol agents are being transferred to assist Immigration and Customs Enforcement in cities across the country as part of an effort to increase deportations. The following cities are identified in these reports. Cities receiving Border Patrol leadership. Multiple reports from October 28, 2025 indicate a major shakeup at ICE, with many field office directors being replaced by senior Border Patrol officials. Some of the cities affected by this leadership change include Denver, Colorado, LA, Philadelphia, Phoenix, Arizona, and San Diego, California, right? Twice in Cali. Cities with increased Border Patrol presence. In addition to the leadership changes, Border Patrol agents are also being deployed to assist in raids and interior enforcement. Now, remember what they said about Chicago? Well, I think it was Trump that said that, or was it Pete Hegseth? One of those two, anyways. Talk about they're going to use pretty much. They basically should say it straight out. They said that we're going to use Jake's, and their, apartment buildings or whatever, for live, drills and training and stuff like that, to say the least. That's basically what they were saying, when they, remember they had that meeting there, talking about, you're fat, you get out of here, you're out of shape, get in shape, or all this crazy stuff, right? With Department of War and all this stuff. Okay, and when they're now in Chicago as well as New York. So in addition to the leadership changes, Border Patrol agents are also being deployed to assist in raids and interior enforcement. Cities with recent or announced increased Border Patrol assistance to ICE include Chicago. Border Patrol agents, including from the tactical unit BORTAC, have been active in Chicago as part of the Midway Blitz operation. A Border Patrol executive is overseeing enforcement efforts there. The heck, New York Hotel and Casino. Okay. Members of the U.S. Border Patrol Tactical Unit were dispatched to New York in mid-2025. L.A. Border Patrol agents have been assisting ICE in targeted operations, with some sources indicating U.S. troops have also been deployed. Border Patrol of Philadelphia. Border Patrol agents from Arizona were reported to have assisted ICE in Philadelphia in June 2025. Okay, Atlanta. Let's see, and that's back in June. But now they're starting to swap men out, all right? They want to get more aggressive. Atlanta. Border Patrol personnel were reportedly deployed to Atlanta. Boston, Mass. Elite Border Patrol tactical agents were deployed to Boston earlier in 2025. And Detroit. Border Patrol agents were expected to be sent to Detroit. Oh, there's one more. Oh, there's a couple more. Newark Liberty International Airport. Additional agents were expected to be sent to Newark. Portland. Yeah, Trump talked about Portland, Oregon, right? Border Patrol agents have been active in Portland in late 2025. They're not giving exact dates. They're just saying early, late, mid, and stuff like that. But anyways, San Fran. Additional Border Patrol personnel were expected to be sent to San Francisco. And Washington, D.C., of course, of all, was watched the last time. Leadership changes have occurred in the Washington, D.C. area, with the CBP, the Border Patrol's staff potentially replacing ICE leadership, all right? Because they're better trained and they can get the job done. They used to, chase it down, you get the point, all right? And they're more aggressive. This redistribution of resources is a response to frustrations over current arrest and deportation levels, and is aimed at intensifying the administration's immigration enforcement effort. There you go, right there. Last paragraph sums it all up. Okay. And so that's pretty much it. I want to jump into these couple of things there. Yeah, I mean, pretty much, current state, sitting around ICE. So you can go and check out the rest of those videos, but I'm going to end it here. Shalom.
Let's go to Ali Bradley now. Ali, you have talked with Chief Bovino. What else did he have to say about this one incident and the tactics altogether?
Yeah, hey, Marnie, I actually just heard from Chief Bovino before he walked into that courtroom, and he tells me that he is ready and said, quote, the U.S. Border Patrol works for the taxpayer, and we stand with taxpayers and have their back. Our mission continues unabated. Earlier this month, he defended the agency's tactics, and he told me that their operations are sound, standing behind those tactics, that use of force that we have been seeing them use on the streets. Take a listen to what Chief Bovino told me earlier this month.
It's not our operations. Our operations are all legal, ethical, and moral. We'll be about 1,600 apprehensions today. Amongst those 1,600, terrorists, child rapists, gang members, aggravated felons, a whole litany of really bad people walking those streets in broad daylight with impunity. So the operations are definitely sound. We've been doing this about 101 years now, Ali. We're legal, ethical, and professional for 101 years now.
Okay, so we expect to hear from Chief Bovino here shortly, but the Border Patrol chief was originally called for a deposition before November 5th. But after those images and photos surfaced out of the little village with the tear gas canister, that changed. DHS officials claim that the agents, including Bovino, used crowd control measures in response to protesters who were throwing objects. Plaintiffs, though, have challenged the account, saying Bovino threw the canister without justification. But we have seen violent protests break out since September across Chicago, operations where we witness people jumping on the hoods of the tire of one of those government vehicles slashed by a rioter, many of whom say they don't agree with the way that federal agents and officers are making these apprehensions. Now, DHS, of course, defending those tactics from their federal law enforcement, saying that these are sound operations, that they are operating within the law. This, of course, as DHS is reporting a spike in assaults against agents and officers, saying that that has escalated 1,000% when compared to this time last year. Marnie.
Ali, we've also learned of a shakeup within ICE where Border Patrol is going to be playing a larger role, similar to what we're seeing with Chief Bovino. What else can you share about that?
Yeah, Chief Bovino was essentially kind of the prototype for President Trump's immigration crackdown and the interior enforcement. He's been essentially the face of all of this unfolding. So we can expect to see more Border Patrol, more sweeping raids, more at-large operations with this shakeup here. So what we can expect is more Border Patrol chiefs in these types of roles across the U.S. As sources confirm, immigration and customs enforcement officials in at least 5 major cities are being replaced by senior Border Patrol agents. So we're talking about Denver, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Phoenix, and San Diego. We are told that officers were relieved of their jobs last week and they were moved to different positions within the agency. But Border Patrol has been carrying out the majority of these at-large sweeping raids that generally lead to protests at the direction of Chief Bovino. Now, they do carry out targeted enforcement operations as well, but that is more so what ICE is doing. By comparison, ICE officers are generally sticking to one target after they conduct recon and research. This method is not producing the numbers that President Trump wants, though, according to sources. Bovino's methods seem to be more of what the administration is after. Take a listen to what he said here.
We are going to turn and burn, and we're going to go throughout Chicago with reckless abandon, professionally, legally, ethically, and morally, and arrest all illegal alien gang members that we can get our hands on.
Okay, so Marnie, we know these Border Patrol agents that are going to be taking over these ICE roles. They're on a detail, basically, into ICE operations. And so it is a temporary detail. We don't know the length of this right now. We don't know if they're going to shift them more into a permanent role, but we can expect to see even more than 5 of these offices with this shakeup and this shift, Marnie.
Growing friction in the Department of Homeland Security is leading to a mass shakeup of ICE leadership over deportation tactics and priorities, according to 4 senior DHS officials. The overhaul affects U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement field offices in at least 8 cities and will replace many senior leaders with Border Patrol officials, marking an unprecedented power shift and exposing sharp divisions inside DHS over how far to go in ramping up deportations, the officials told Fox News. The rift comes amid growing frustration from the White House with the pace of daily arrests, according to a report from NBC News, which cites current and former officials. The changes are being driven by competing camps inside DHS. On one side are DHS Secretary Kristi Noem, Senior Advisor Corey Lewandowski, and Border Patrol Commander Greg Bovino, who have pushed for a broader and more aggressive approach, targeting anyone in the U.S. illegally to boost deportation numbers. On the other side are Border Czar Tom Homan and ICE Director Todd Lyons, who have advocated focusing on criminal aliens and those with final deportation orders. ICE started off with the worst of the worst, knowing every target they are hitting, but since Border Patrol came to LA in June, we've lost our focus, going too hard, too fast, with limited prioritization, one senior DHS official told Fox. It's getting numbers, but at what cost? Another senior official put it bluntly. ICE is arresting criminal aliens, he said, while Border Patrol is, quote, hitting Home Depots and car washes. Border Patrol's aggressive tactics have been increasingly on display. In August, video went viral of Border Patrol agents packing into a Penske truck in Los Angeles before bursting out at a local Home Depot, where they reportedly took 16 people into custody. Commander Greg Bovino dubbed the affair Operation Trojan Horse. Earlier this month, video posted by DHS shows agents using Black Hawk helicopters to raid an apartment building in Chicago. And last week, Bovino himself could be seen lobbing what appears to be a canister of tear gas into a crowd of angry protesters. One agent told Fox News, "What did everyone think mass deportations meant? Only the worst? Tom Homan has said it himself. Anyone in the U.S. illegally is on the table." Two senior officials described the mood inside DHS as tense and combative, with some ICE leaders warning the new approach could erode public support and blur the line between ICE and Border Patrol operations. Officials told Fox News that the latest round of reassignments impacts ICE field chiefs in Los Angeles, San Diego, Phoenix, Denver, Portland, Philadelphia, El Paso, and New Orleans. Their positions are expected to be filled by Border Patrol and Customs and Border Protection officials. The mentality is CBP does what they're told, and the administration thinks ICE isn't getting the job done, a DHS official told NBC News. So CBP will do it. According to reports, at least a dozen leaders will be replaced in the shakeup, with at least half being replaced by CBP leadership, officials told NBC News.
How do you feel about the position that this administration is putting them in, putting border people into cities to face these crowds and face these high arrest counts of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 a day?
I can speak to exactly what you're talking about, but I want to touch on something first. We in the border communities, we are the ones that dealt with what was going on for the 4 years where President Biden and his administration allowed millions of people to come across. So what we're doing now, our agents, we secured the border. The Border Patrol secured the border quicker than anybody ever thought we could because we wanted to do the job, and now we're allowed to do it. Now, going out into the cities, we've never been told that we have a quota of 3,000 per day. What we're doing out there is targeted enforcement. They brought us out there to help ICE out because, I mean, let's face it, the Border Patrol's job is far more complex and far more difficult than that of an ICE officer. And ICE being our partner agency, I have a ton of respect for them. But Border Patrol's training is a lot more in depth. We're a lot better equipped and better trained to do interior enforcement. And so that's why our agents are out there doing the job. Now, what you see in all these videos, a lot of people get angry and upset because of what they're seeing. But what the story doesn't show is that these agitators, these antagonists, are not the people that we're going after to arrest. These are people that are impeding, they're interfering with our lawful right to enforce the laws that are on the books. And that's why the optics that you're talking about are showing that we're in a riot situation almost everywhere and almost every day. But it's not because of the illegal aliens that we're going after. It's because of the agitators and antagonists that we're having to battle every single day.
Border Patrol commander in charge of President Trump's immigration crackdown in Chicago is being reined in by a federal judge.
The judge gave Greg Bovino an earful today about the tactics he and his agents are using and ordered him to start providing her with briefings every day. Here's Nicole Skanga.
Video surfaced of federal agents descending on a Halloween parade in Chicago over the weekend. Trick-or-treaters watch as masked agents load people into white SUVs.
Do not touch him!
And today, the man who oversees Chicago's immigration operations, U.S. Customs and Border Protection Chief of Patrol Gregory Bavino, arrived at the federal courthouse in Chicago to a chaotic scene. A federal judge ordered him to appear after he was seen allegedly throwing a canister of tear gas into a crowd during a protest last week. In court today, Judge Sarah Ellis ordered Bavino to wear a body camera and provide her daily updates on the operations in Chicago. The judge also addressed the Halloween video, saying kids dressed in Halloween costumes walking to a parade don't pose an immediate threat to the safety of a law enforcement officer. They just don't. We questioned Bavino last week about his agency's use of force outside the immigration facility in Broadview, the site of recent clashes.
The use of force that I've seen has been exemplary, and by exemplary, I would say the least amount of force necessary to accomplish the mission.
You think use of force here at Broadview has been exemplary?
I do.
Firing from elevation is within DHS policy?
It doesn't matter where you fire from. An elevation is not a violation of policy. That is a less lethal device for area saturation. Absolutely.
Aiming above the waist is within policy?
If someone strays into a pepper ball, then that's on them. Don't protest and don't trespass.
The Department of Homeland Security is now weighing a major shakeup at ICE, replacing as many as a dozen of its leaders with current or former Border Patrol officials, a move sources say could make federal operations even more aggressive in cities like Chicago.
Nicole Scanga, thank you.
Hey guys, someone grab that guy right there. Right there. With the what? This guy right there.
I didn't fucking do nothing. Yo, they didn't do anything. I didn't do nothing. Yo, get your hands off them. They didn't do shit. Shit.
Pick him up. You back. This way. That way. Please back away. Over them. All right, folks.